That sure was an active week for a bye week. We talk Miami football with you for the next hour here at the Voice of College Football, so please lock it in. And before you get settled, hit that like button. Let people know on social media that you are here, that we are here, and we're talking Canes again for 60 minutes with the very best Cam Underwood from State of the U. So this is what we do on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Hey, Cam.
Hey, what's going on, Mark? Good to see you. Good to see you.
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to be seen, my friend.
So, how was the weekend minus the Canes, but otherwise?
It was good. Good. I had plans to, work the secret day job a little bit, do what we do. So I enjoyed it. It was great to be able to just be a fan without any kind of coverage responsibility, even, semi-pro as a blogger, and everything. But still, we could, create content, around the games and everything. And it was just like, hey, I'm going to sit back and watch Penn State, Iowa. I'm going to sit back and just take it all in. Like, I had no, my advanced spreadsheet or advanced stats sites that I usually have two of them open. The game stats, which I have also open. I'm just none of that. I did what I wanted. I, checked in with these games here and there, was flipping around, just enjoying it. It's good to be able to have that sometimes. So yeah, it was good.
It is, because I think I can speak for Cam. No complaints here. When we talk about working football games, yes, it's not real work. It's enjoyable. It's what we do. It's what we've chosen to do is, work the games. But there is a difference between, I got to keep track of all this, and I got notepads out, and I'm doing my thing as well, trying to keep track of everyone. And we've got now 16 post-game shows, so I'm getting them codes and getting them set up, and they always have got operational issues, and I'm building thumbnails so everybody's got a decent looking show and those sorts of things, and tweeting out constantly so everyone's aware that, hey, this post-game show is coming up at this link. And it's a work day situation for me, as Cam had just outlined for himself, from noon until I'm doing it until like 3 or 4 in the morning. So it is nice to just want to watch some football, just relax, not be consumed with all this stuff in regards to the work or grind. But again, no complaints. We have both chosen that route in different ways. So good stuff. So it's back at it, of course, this Saturday for Miami, North Carolina. We will get to our breakdown of the game and the matchup, and how the reality of this game and this matchup and the perception of it has changed drastically in 5 or 6 weeks. But first, we go to the injury news that has hit this team. One could have been expected, anticipated ever since he went down. That's D'Eriq King, officially ruled out for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. Also, starting center Corey Gaynor.
Yeah, both of those guys are out. And I was thinking to myself this last weekend, like, hey, we haven't heard anything about D'Eriq King recently. But, he got an initial diagnosis about his shoulder, got a second opinion, and, really just it's at the point where he has to have surgery. And that's going to keep him out for the rest of the year. So it's tough. Obviously he's a great player. He, being a little bit dinged up this year, not performing to his best caliber of performance, but still very good player. A guy that we're going to miss. And he does embody everything that's right and good in college football. You do want to have that, but he's unfortunately going to be out. So, tough for him. He has undecided about applying for a medical red shirt, which he probably would get, which would give him a 7th year in college, with the COVID extension and already having used up a redshirt season at Houston and things like that. So it's potentially possible that he could come back for a 7th year. If it were me, I would look at him playing something other than quarterback if he were deciding to come back to Miami, because at some time I think that you have to look forward for the program, and especially because the other thing that directs my thought in that way is the fact that he's coming off of a shoulder. I've talked about this before, from when I wanted to be a baseball player growing up. Elbows are things that you can get repaired and come back from and keep throwing 120 miles an hour. Shoulders, especially when you're talking about the lever motion of throwing, shoulders are where careers end for people who throw the ball, whether it's football, baseball, whatever it is. And in that respect, I would say if he wanted to come back, then I would look at him maybe playing another position. If he wanted to continue to play quarterback, then hey, I wish him well wherever he might land, but I don't think that would be at Miami if it were up to me. But in any regard, we do wish him, well with his surgery and recovery and all the best. He's by all reports a great person, and I don't wish ill upon any of the players personally or anything. And it's devastating for him to have worked as hard to come back from the knee injury and everything, and get back to hopefully potentially leading a team to a big season with the advantageous schedule and roster advantage of talent. But obviously the season is going in a very different direction for the Miami Hurricanes this year. But regardless, we do, wish him the best. Also, Corey Gaynor with a knee. He's had surgery already. He's out for the year. Missed some time last year, came back, and was supposed to be the center to anchor the offensive line. And that would allow Ja'Kai Clark, who had an ankle injury last year, to come back and then redshirt this year to be the center of the future starting next year. But that's been inverted. So Gaynor's out. Ja'Kai Clark goes from, the stated plan was that he was going to redshirt. Nah, he's starting center, number 53 now. So that does change things around for the offensive line and everything, and have a different quarterback back there, obviously. So it's not the best news in terms of injuries, but again, we do, wish all the, Derek King and Corey Gaynor, well in their recoveries from surgery. There are just, some other guys who were on that list. There was good news on the injury front that was noted by Manny Diaz on Monday. He expects Jared Harrison-Hunt, Jordan Miller, both of them defensive tackles in the rotation, Tyreek Stevenson, Amari Carter, and Keontra Smith to be back this week at North Carolina. So Keontra Smith's been out for a couple of weeks. You're starting weak side linebacker. Tyreek Stevenson playing, the best player on the defense. Jared Harrison-Hunt, arguably your best defensive tackle right now. Leonard Taylor's going to be better than Jared Harrison-Hunt, I think. But right now, I'm taking 81 over 56 for today right now. Well, both of those guys are very good. When you get guys of that ilk back, you get 3 starters and 2 other rotation guys in Amari Carter and Jordan Miller. Hopefully that starts to plug some of the gaps, but hopefully also that does not take away from the playing time of some younger guys. So we will see how that works, but getting guys of that caliber back should hopefully get this team to be a little bit more talented, to be competitive. And all 5 of those guys are on defense. So you're talking about plugging in holes with starting level and top rotation level guys, so instead of playing backups or way down the roster guys, you're getting guys who should be playing a lot to come back and hopefully play a lot. So hopefully that ends up being pretty good.
Enjoy these super chats coming in. Appreciate that so much, all of you. Let's get to them right now. We've got Santhush on the line. Number 1, any truth to at least a few Columbus alumni making some moves very soon?
Columbus alumni. That needs more clarity to answer. Because that could go a number of different ways, because also Mario Cristobal is a Columbus alumnus as well. So are you talking about players on the roster? You're talking about in the world of college football? Because there's a lot of guys at a lot of different schools that's trying to be a little too cute with the nebulosity. We can put a point on that, and then we can answer.
Okay. Santhush, I'll be looking for your next comment to add to this one for clarity. Number 2, any truth to Ed Reed in, Ferris Robinson out as defensive backs coach?
Not as of right now.
And number 3,
because Ed Reed's not even an on-field guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Has he ever expressed any interest in being an on-field coach that you know?
He did. He was an assistant DB's coach at Buffalo after his playing career. So I believe that there might be that for him. But he's also talked about the chief of staff role, allowing him to commute and be back and forth to Atlanta, where he makes his home right now, where his son is in high school. So he's able to be there for the majority of the week and then pop in and out whenever. So if his son has a high school game on Thursday or Friday, he can be at that game and then buy a ticket, hop on a private jet. He's multi-millionaire. Hop on a PJ, be to Miami, boom, and do that. But he openly spoke when he took the job about that flexibility to not be in the building every day as being part of the package that enticed him to even take that role. So I find it curious at best to then all of a sudden say he's going to be here, 25/8, like more than 24/7, even like just always there, which you're going to have to be an on-field coach. Maybe I missed the memo. Maybe there was a conversation or something that happened that missed that. But absent hearing that from Ed Reed himself, I'm going to go with no.
And because I always read the entire super chat, Michael Jordan is a better basketball player than Elvis. I
think even Michael Jackson is a better artist than Elvis Presley. And yes,
no,
absolutely
not.
And you can look at and you can look at and you can look at all the people that Elvis stole from.
Elvis is credit. He's the GOAT. There's no question about it. Just we can have that debate at some other point. And you have to watch the library and listen to the library.
Like I have not. Oh, come on now. No.
You have to. You just have to. It's just
Michael Jackson not even by a little bit, by light years. It's not even close.
Yes. In the same way that I would state it the other way, that nobody's even in Elvis's category stratosphere.
Wow.
And I will just note one other thing that I find people online routinely every few days that can't believe what they are watching and listening to because they had a caricature and had a stereotype in their mind, and then they're blown away when they actually see the real thing. Chugmo Beer, Mark and Cam, great to catch you live. Miami needs Mario as head coach and Muschamp as the defensive coordinator. Okay. Canes for life. Smash the like button. Thank you, Chugmo Beer. And the U family.
That is a potentially formidable collection. Two coaches to begin a staff with. I don't necessarily know if I agree 100% that they need, but you could do worse than having those two together in those positions on the staff.
And Will Muschamp's right now some type of a defensive analyst with Georgia, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We do have Luke Walker in here, big North Carolina fan.
Mm-hmm.
And they are suffering through a painful season themselves. And so we might as well get to it. Well, let's do this first before we talk the North Carolina matchup is, just a lot of speculation out there concerning the transfer portal revving up out of Miami.
Yeah, and I think that's to be expected. My boy JP, who sometimes pops in with a feature piece on State of the U, he's been decrying the sole focus on seniority for a while. I think his debut article on that was in March, about Miami having a seniority problem with the singular focus on chronology over talent being the thing that decides roster slots. Like who's the oldest they're going to play, not who's the best, not who's performing the best, who's the oldest, and going from there. So there is a little bit of that that I think has been going on in Miami in certain spots. Then you have that fight in practice last week, which, obviously tensions can run high, and we'll see those things. But then Manny Diaz also referring to last week when he had his press conference this week and said, last week was a in the boat, out the boat kind of situation, like rubber meeting road. Are you with us or are you not? And are you with us in whatever way? Because you might have been a starting player and now your role has changed. Maybe you've waited to be a starting player for years, and unfortunately you in a starting role is not a thing that's going to work for our team and our program. So we're going to go in a different direction. So you have a role, but it's not going to be this role that you thought that you've had previously or that you wanted to have. So that's going to piss a lot of people off. Like I bought into this program. I stayed for 3-4 years. I'm supposed to be the starter now. I'm supposed to be the man, because like JP wrote, and I've said many times, if you kept not playing me because of seniors or older players, now I'm the older player and you're going to skip over me and have done me a disservice of development and playing time and connection or whatever you want to call it. Hell yeah, I'll be pissed off about that. So point blank period, there's some guys on the roster who are not going to play as much now as they used to, moving like even this Saturday and moving forward. And those are the guys who you're going to look to see probably go towards the portal. Now, Manny Diaz, obviously, in the way that it should have been handled. I know people are trying to parse the words, but he said there's no official players who are going into the portal. What he said, what he meant was, I don't have a list of names that I'm going to tell you. That's what that meant, ladies and gentlemen. Does he know? Yes. Do those players know? Yes. Were some of those players probably involved in that fight? Have they been fire fucking hot at the coach? These young guys are getting these reps and everything. Look, you can read nonverbal cues. You can hear verbal cues because it's a football field, bro. They're gonna be loud. So does he know? Absolutely. But is he going to, on a Monday presser or on a radio show at 7 o'clock on Monday morning, either one, is he going to drag these kids' names out here halfway through a season and be like, you're soft, you're a quitter, you're soft, you're a quitter, you're pissed off because you're going to play less, and these are the guys who are going to leave? Absolutely not. And that's not the right thing that any coach would do. And if you talk about, being injurious to the foundation and the perception of a program, had he gone down categorically and done that, no one would come to Miami, period. He would have got fired that day on spot, because you cannot have a coach who does that. This is the same, organization or entity in an NCAA situation where the coaches are not allowed to name recruits because they're not officially on the roster until they're officially on the roster when they've signed. And that is for a variety of reasons, but also some people are on television all the time. Nick Saban, like, oh, I'm here and there and everywhere. So if I say a recruit's name, if Nick Saban wanted, he's on TV so much, he could say Arch Manning's name every game, all the time. Hey, we have a great quarterback now, but Arch Manning in the class of 2023, he's a legacy guy. I know that all his family went to other SEC schools, but Arch Manning from da-da-da-da-da is going to make the best decision possible. He's going to come here. It's an unfair match. So that's why we don't, name recruit names, in case you're wondering that. But it would have been terrible for Manny Diaz to put their names out there. That would have broken their trust. That would have thrown them under the bus, whether warranted or not. And that's just not a thing that you can do. So I just wanted to get that out there, first of all. Secondly, if you wonder about the names, and I've seen the chats that Mark's put up here about putting players' names out there and saying this guy, this guy, that way, you're probably right. Mark Pope played 7 snaps of defense against Central Connecticut State, a 4-star on 24/7, 5-star on Rivals, wide receiver in the class of whatever years ago, gets wide open, drops the ball, and now they're saying, we're not going to play you on offense. You can maybe get some burn on defense. You think that guy's going to want to stick around when he's seen himself as a wide receiver, when he single-handedly led Southridge to a state championship? I've told the story before. They threw a ball to D. Wiggins up the left sideline. He couldn't get it. They called timeout. Mark Pope goes to the coach. Call same play. Put me over there, coach. I got you. They did that. He catches the ball. Touchdown. They win. Boom. It's like that. So do you think he's going to stick around not to get balls thrown his way? Probably not. D. Wiggins as a mid-bottom of the rotation guy now? Probably not. I've seen people talk about, well, Sam Brooks, well, this guy, well, dub. You're probably right. But you know what's really going to tell you the story? Look and see the game on Saturday. Look and see the game next Saturday against MC State. Look at what the rotations are. Look at the players who are on the field, because that's going to inform this clearly, beyond the shadow of a doubt, because now no one's watched practice. There's not been an Oklahoma situation with somebody climbing up to the top of the bell tower with binoculars and then reporting what's been seen on the 1s and 2s, which they did at Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma subsequently canceled all of their media availability because they benched their Heisman frontrunner, number 1 overall pick potential player who's fine as a college player, but he's not anything super special. And they're going to play a freshman instead. And because the student newspaper did that, then they closed all that down. Miami does not have any of those situations. So you do not necessarily have the chapter and verse here. But what you can do, I guarantee you, look at everything. Look at who plays on Saturday, at Carolina. Look who plays next Saturday at home against NC State. And you're going to see the rotation. You're going to see who's out there less than they used to be. And that's going to start to give you the list. So any of the conjecture or rumor, or I know a guy, or I went to high school with, or I'm from the hood, round the way from somebody's grandmama, girlfriend, that's all well and good, and that's fine. But when you see them jerseys on the field and it's on television, you can say, oh, I'm looking for Amari Carter. He wears number 5 on defense. I see number 3. I see Gilbert Frierson at the striker position. A couple plays later, I see number 1 for Chase Smith over there. I've been looking for 3 drives and have not seen number 5 Amari Carter. We're 7 drives into the game, and number 6 Mark Pope has not played a single snap at wide receiver, and number 8 D Wiggins has played 2 snaps at wide receiver. Sam Brooks has not taken a single snap at linebacker. All of those things will be able to be concretely seen this week and next week. And then all of that unclear thing where people are like, man, he should just name names. No, he shouldn't. And you're a goddamn lie if you think that he should have. Because if you say that, then you just want to get fired. And I think that he's already done enough to get fired. But throwing kids under the bus from the program, absolutely not. And I think he handled that the right way. But you're going to be able to see, based on the rotations, who's out there and who used to be out there, who's not out there enough, or as much as they used to be. And then that's going to inform those guys who are probably more likely than not going to find a home somewhere else.
It's interesting to me to weigh the expectations of the season, the 5 games that have been played thus far, that this team, based on only playing 1 conference game and based on the mediocrity of the division, is very much in the race. Not that they've done anything yet. They've only played 1 game in the conference and they lost that game. Should have won the game, lost the game. That there is just a pretty dire tone surrounding the program and the team and the fans' expectations. And it's understandable. I get it. 2 wins, 3 losses, and it could be worse based on the level of play.
I mean,
but the rest of the
team in the career. When was the last time that Miami beat a Power 5 team? I don't know. I would have to look it up. So let my Google fingers work really quickly. It wasn't this year.
Someone late last season.
It had to be last year.
In the division, in the conference.
It was probably the Duke game, that game that used to be before it was 281 days or whatever until we won a game. Overall, at Duke, December 5th, 48-0. So since then, days since
0-4. 0-5. North Carolina, Oklahoma State last year.
Yeah.
And then Alabama, Michigan State, Virginia. So it'd be 0-5 against the Power 5 since.
So that was that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't be right. Hold on. 12. 5, 20. Yeah, it's 312 days since we beat a Power 5 team. And then even if you go back before that, it was, we had 2 weeks off. So, actually we had a little run there. But, yeah, you're talking 300 something days. It's, since you beat a team that, in a power conference, come on, and then you see, Appalachian State, who does this to everybody, gets their doors blown all the way off by Louisiana last night. Louisiana, really? Like they do that to App State, and then we're in a dogfight to the bitter end. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
It doesn't. Oh, Santish wrote back. He was talking about Alonzo Highsmith as athletic director and Marcus Lamanis, financial guy, has a show on CNBC or MSNBC, which one of those, I forget. All of this, especially with Alonzo Highsmith potentially being put up to be an option for athletic director. This is where this comes from. People would like that. I think that he has the credentialing for it. This all presupposes that Blake James gets fired. Any talk of another head coach presupposes that Manny Diaz is going to get fired. I don't think you can bank on either of those things. And especially I just don't think that you can bank on either of those things happening. And in Manny Diaz's case, I know that he's going to talk about the injuries, particularly to De'Aaron King, as being a mitigating factor to have him stick around again. Like, hey, look, man, we were going to be great. But then King gets injured in the third game against Michigan State. And then, like it was blah, 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 and everything. Like, that's an easy red herring to throw out there to distract from the clear structural faults that are present in the program. But, yeah, I mean, all that is great talk about Marcus Lemonis on the Board of Trustees and Alonzo Highsmith being athletic director and anybody. My guy, Lane Kiffin. Hey, let's get it. Let's be jerks. People were talking about Billy Napier from Louisiana not even being at the top of the list, but being on the list now after what he did at App State. Maybe you're talking about Mario Cristobal. Again, another Columbus alum. You're talking about all these other things potentially being possible, or you're going to go, oh, hey, we're going to throw back up a truck to Luke Fickell. Maybe we're going to go try and get Matt Campbell from Iowa State. Maybe we're going to go try and get Bill O'Brien from OC at Alabama. Maybe we're going to try and get all that presupposes that Manny Diaz is going to get fired. And I don't think that that's anywhere near being assured. And also, I would like to remind everybody watching and listening, whether live or later. First of all, thank you for listening and watching. We appreciate that. But I want to remind you, in 2015, Blake James clearly stated that Al Golden was going to be the coach through the entirety of the season. And it took the literal worst loss in program history to Clemson. Then the Board of Trustees and everybody said, hey, no, wait. He got to go now. But it took that kind of performance and result for that to happen. So I say that to say this is a guy who's already been down this path. I don't think there's a 58-0 waiting on this schedule. I think there could be some bad losses. I think still losing to Florida State is an immediate, that day, fireable offense. But I think that there are way more losses that are on the schedule, but I don't see there's a 58-0. And with Blake James' proclivity to not fire somebody during the season, absent an act of God or the literal worst loss that we've ever seen as Miami Hurricanes football, Mandy is going to be here. That's what I think. Unless Blake James changes who he is overnight, but you don't get to that position by changing your mind and changing your process and methodology overnight. So, I've already said that I'm out on Manny Diaz. I was out on Manny Diaz after the Michigan State game. Done, signed, sealed, delivered. It's whatever. I'm counting the days until my program, my alma mater, can move forward in a different direction. I'm checked out. I'm going to watch. I'm going to root. I'm going to cheer. I'm going to create content clearly, coherently, and accurately. Praise where praise is due, and criticism where criticism is due. But I don't think that this is a sustainable organization or leadership team with him here. Clearly stated. But Blake James is a different person, and having already said, and again, it took 58-0 to Clemson to force him to do something that he doesn't want to do. There's not one. I'm going down the schedule again. I still have the tab open. Hold on one second. You got Carolina this week. That could be another 62-26 per se, but that's still not 58-0. That's not that kind of embarrassment. You know what I mean? The margin could still be outsized, but it's not that same target, big game, Clemson, Brad Kaya, quarterback, concussion, worst loss ever. You got, people leaving the stadium. You had literally 223 people in the stands at the end of the game because I went through and I counted every single section that I could see from the press box that day. Now, there was a couple over me, but I literally sat there. It was like 5 people this section, 6 people this section. We don't have one of those. And I don't think that Carolina is going to be that. NC State, that's a damn good team. I don't see them with that same kind of a loss. At Pittsburgh, they're going to say that Pittsburgh is the best team in the conference. So even if we lose and it's an outside score line, it's not going to necessarily be 58-0 because Pitt doesn't do that to people anyway. So that's not going to be the one. Georgia Tech, at Florida State, Virginia Tech, and at Duke. Again, are there bad losses there? Yes. Are there multiple more losses forthcoming? I believe that to be true. But there's not going to be a singular inflection point that has Blake James calling up and be like, no, or having the board of trustees and everybody else calling Blake James and telling him, this is your job. Your job is to fire him, call him right TF now, and do that. I don't see that happening.
It's a complete wild card to me in regards to what the results of these games are going to be, because you can throw a blanket over the ACC. Everybody comes at it from a different way. The Miami position right now is that they're pretty much more talented than all the teams that you just mentioned, but those other teams are being led more competently, and their teams are inspired and playing solid football and seem to be on a mission and a purpose to get something done this year. So yeah, it's not a daunting schedule, but all those teams are capable of beating Miami. Miami's capable, of course, from a talent perspective, of beating all those teams.
One would think.
But again, those other teams seem to be just, we know who they are. They seem to know who they are, and they're led by good leadership, and they seem to be headed somewhere, most of them. I attacked this question from somebody the other day, more from a generic standpoint, just in a given situation, what are the benefits to firing a coach mid-season versus waiting to the end of the season, even if you believe this is where you're headed with that particular coach and coaching staff, versus waiting to the end of the season. So you've answered that question in regards to what you think is best for this program. So you don't feel that there are any benefits to keeping Manny around?
I mean, I understand why. You know, if you're talking about buyout numbers of being $8 million or maybe less with Offset, if he gets another job somewhere, you know, and a job, not necessarily a head coaching job, a job, you know, ladies and gentlemen. I understand that. I just, you know, why? Oh, well, you know, we don't want to necessarily have the upheaval in the middle of the season. There's already been negative fallout in terms of recruiting, so you can't even necessarily point at that. But you're going to say, well, I don't want to have one of the assistant coaches be the interim head coach. I don't want to, you know, do these different kind of things. I don't want to kind of upset the apple cart. I get it. I just disagree. Again, I've seen this movie too often to know what the end is going to be like. So why would I play out the string? We can just turn this off now and get moving. Plus the fact, again, with all this being supposition about who might be a potential candidate or whatever, let's get started on the process now. You got another, you know, you're going to have two other jobs. And I saw Danny Cannell, Fort Lauderdale's own, went to Westminster Christian, which is around the corner from my mother's house, right on 56th Street and US 1, in case you were wondering. And obviously played at Florida State. But he asked the question, he said, rank these three jobs: Miami, LSU, and USC. And I believe that the LSU job is going to come open because Ed Orgeron sold his soul for that national championship, and he's reaping the benefits of that deal with the devil now. And then I believe the Miami job should come open as well, but that's going to be your competition. You know what I mean? Like, you got another historically great private school from the other coast, you know, who plays their games off campus, has a high, you know, visibility of alumni, great, you know, pedigree, Heisman Trophy winners, NFL stars, major metropolitan city, huge media market. You know, the allegories or connections between Miami and USC there's more than a couple. And I just said those off the top of my head. Then you put LSU, which is always a year away from being a powerhouse program. I mean, they're going to get everybody from Louisiana that you want. You're going to get every blue chip player that's down there. You know, ever since integration, when most of those, you know, most of the black players went to go play for Eddie Robinson and Grambling, maybe if they didn't go to Grambling, they went to Southern. All those guys go to LSU now. Every single one, except for one or two every blue moon. But you're going to have talent there. You're going to have the ability to win if you have, you know, the coaching to be able to do it, which was seen obviously when they won the national championship. And so, I mean, that's who you're competing against. That's what you're trying to get in ahead of, because USC already fired their head coach. They're already going down that path. LSU, a bad loss this weekend, maybe next weekend, whoop, they're out of there. Origin's out of there. Now they've already started their hiring process and everything officially. Oh, and it's different, official versus unofficial thing, like recruiting visits. Like, I can call a couple people if I still got a head coach, but if you know I ain't got a head coach, I'm calling everybody. I mean, it's just a different level of connection to it. And now you're going to be behind them even further by not firing Manny Diaz, and you know that you're going to go in a different direction. So that is that for me. And after this well, you're going to say something. After this super chat, I want to go back to the transfer question.
From a recruiting standpoint, I think making the move now actually helps in that you can't sell a head coach to your current commits and would-be commits to say, this is going to be the next head coach. You can't do that. But if you feel confident, and I don't know if Miami has this person on the staff, if you feel confident enough in whoever you name as the interim coach and basically guarantee them you are going to be retained, you're a very valuable fill in the blank, linebackers coach, secondary coach, whatever you are, to guide this home through the rest of the season. And we're going to retain you so you can actively recruit. You're going to be here. And at least while Miami candidates, meaning recruits who are being recruited actively by Miami, don't know who the next head coach is going to be, at least they know that there is going to be a different head coach. Mm-hmm. That has been decided. They're not being recruited by Manny Diaz and his staff thinking, is he even going to be here? They at least know I'm committing myself to this program, this tradition, whatever I love about this school and its legacy and everything involved, location. I'm committing to that and hoping that they upgrade the head coaching position.
Yeah, but then you're going to probably see a lot of guys not sign. You're going to see some guys who were early enrollee track not do that. You're going to see guys like Cody Brown, who got out of his NLI after he signed at Tennessee, and then they fired their coach after he signed early, get out of their NLIs. And then you're already seeing movement on the trail. Traquan Fagans, decommitted. Kamari Rogers, who's been committed forever, he's taking official visits elsewhere the next couple of weeks. I think it's Ole Miss and – because he's from Mississippi. I think it's like Ole Miss and Tennessee that he's taking visits to. Both are teams that are playing better than Miami right now. Jaden Gibson, the wide receiver from West Orange High School, committed to Florida like we all thought that he would, even though he had 17 million hats on the table. But that was real. That was fake, I should say. Like, nobody really thought that he was considering all 12 or 15 schools or whatever hats that he had out there. That's asinine, but like, then you see other guys are just going on and picking other places. The linebacker from Nebraska, Devin Jackson, who was down to Nebraska and Miami, looked around and was just like, you know what? I feel like giving Oregon a call. After I said that I was down to my last two, I took those 2 official visits. I had a commitment date and then said, I don't know. And then he goes and commits out there. It's things like that. So, I mean, there's already been negative fallout. And it's just been, and any chatter that you were hearing about Miami previously or coming into the season on the trail is deader than a doorknob. So, I mean, yeah, you can potentially spin the recruiting into a different direction if you move on from a coach. But you see more of a bump in their first full class than the class that they would be salvaging to the end. So, who knows?
To the super chat from Sigmund. Thank you so much for that, Sigmund. Appreciate your contribution. Mr. Underwood. Well, if you were AD, what would be your first 3 moves?
Number 1, I get a new football coach. So this is a 2-part move. So I'm firing Manny Diaz and I'm bringing in insert new coach, whether that's Lane or Mario or whomever. That's move number 1. Move number 2, I'm getting rid of Gino DeMari as baseball coach, and I'm bringing in Greg Lovelady, former Miami catcher, has been at Wright State. A couple of my cousin's friends from Detroit used to play, and they played for Wright State when they went to college, and that's a program that's been to the NCAAs. They routinely go down to SEC country or Southern ACC country, and they win the opening series every year. This is a team that's 45-12 over years and years and years, developing guys, getting them drafted into the minors. None have made it to the majors yet, but still just upgrading the level. And he's a Miami alum. You bring him back here, then hopefully we get the baseball program going back in a positive direction as well. 1, Diaz is going to get a new coach. 2, Damari, I don't care that his dad is on the board of trustees. He's gone because he don't got the range. I'm bringing in Greg Lovelady. That's the easy, quick question. Did Greg Lovelady get a new job already? Did he go to UCF or something? Maybe. Wherever he is, I go get Greg Lovelady. Boom. And then I let him do his thing. Number 3. That is a really good question because the first 2 were right at the top of my brain. I was trying to think of a third one as I went down those first 2 answers. Part of me wants to say a different head coaching change, but I don't know. Because it's about the men's basketball team. It's about Jim Larinaga because there's times where I don't really like what's going on with the basketball program, but they've been underperforming recently, but there's been a lot of injuries and things too, like just freak things that have kind of taken some guys out of action, and that has had a negative impact on the result. I would like to see the recruiting in basketball be a little bit different because obviously he's from the Northeast, so we're very DC, Philly, New Jersey heavy in the recruiting world for basketball. We're going after some of those AAU guys. I know that we're in the conversation for a lot of 5 stars, like Jalen Duran, who went to Memphis, was the #1 overall player. You got Amani Bates. He had Miami in his final group. You've had other guys having Miami in their final group for basketball recruiting, which is kind of crazy. But we haven't really gotten any other than, we got Lonnie Walker. He was here for a year and then bolted like he should have. Bruce Brown, he was another 5-star guy, but he was a post-grad guy, so he was old for his year coming out of post-grad, which is why he left after 2 years. You got Earl Timberlake as a top 20, top 10 kind of recruit, but he played here for 1 year, got injured and left. Chris Likes was here for 3 years. He was the WCAC Basketball Player of the Year over Markelle Fultz, who ended up being the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. But in high school, in their league, their Catholic league, Chris Likes won the award over him in the same year. Obviously, at 5'7", the trajectory of his career was going to be different than Fultz, but it speaks to the kind of talent that he had. But he got injured after, in his 3rd year, and he left. So I'm probably either going for a change at men's basketball coaches I've been talking about. If not that, I would have to think about it. But my #1 and 2, new football coach, new baseball coach, and then because I'm thinking about it off the top of my head, and that's a great question because it's really had me going, either a new basketball coach or something else if I think of something else down the line.
How long has the baseball program been down?
A few years, but this year we came into the year ranked top 25, and I said it before last year, and I said it before the season. I said this team gets to the College World Series and wins a game in the College World Series, or it's a fireable offense. Like, you have more talent than there's tons and tons of talent there. You're getting the recruits because of the way that the MLB draft went the last couple of years. You're getting more of the top end recruits who would normally get drafted and go to the pro route on campus. So you got guys throwing 95, 97, 99 out of the bullpen. But, there's, just like the football team, been a lack of player development on that side. And then after this last year, in a similar corollary to what I believe is going to happen with the football team this year, Gino Damari, the coach, just said, cool, all of these guys, we're not bringing you back. Alex Corral, who was at one time the #1 rated player in his recruiting class when he was a high schooler at Archbishop McCarthy out here in Southwest Ranches in Broward County, he transfers to Florida State. And they're like, cool, we got a big left-handed hitting first baseman who can hit the ball 500 feet. Now, he might swing and miss a lot, and he might not be the best defensive player, but if he runs into one, that ball's going to turn around in a hurry. We'll take you up here. There's been so many guys from that team who were told, seek shelter elsewhere. We're going to go in a different, younger direction in terms of baseball, because Gino DeMare knows, even with his daddy on the board of trustees, he cannot continue to have performances like we've seen last year, or the last couple of years in baseball. So yeah. I said I wanted to get back to the other transfer question. So somebody asked, basically, if 20 players leave in the transfer portal, can we recruit 20 to replace them? The answer is no. What the NCAA has passed for this year is a one-time waiver where you get your 25 scholarships from high school and up to 7 from the transfer portal to offset players leaving. And again, only up to the number 7. So there can still be a negative drain to the program. If you lose 20 and you only bring 7 in, you're going to be negative 13 on the aggregate. Tough. But it's not a 1-to-1. However many you have leave out, that's however many you can come sign in. That's not what has been said. So you get up to 32 incoming counters this year, up to 25 from high school, and on top of that, up to 7 from the transfer portal. This was something that I spoke about a while ago as being potentially possible, and the Miami needed to start winning games, because this was before the Michigan State game. We talked about this. So I said we are 1-1 in the year. We lost to Alabama, and moving forward, you can go look up the video from that week. Moving forward, we need to change the paradigm, because previously I had said that I expected Miami to sign probably 17 to 19, leaving space open for transfer guys, and having counted some guys, some late transfers from last year forward, Cody Brown, Justice Oluwaseun. So that takes the number total you can bring in this year down from 25 to 23. If you want to have any room, that means you need to leave those ones open and only target, 17 to 19. And I said at that time, and I believe it now, we need to be closer to signing a full 23 or 25 allocation, however you want to count it, or whatever the high school prep pipeline scholarships are. We need to have all of those to offset. And then we need to get whatever we can from the top end of the transfer portal as well. And Miami's been among the leading, if not the leading team in terms of transfer portal players over the course of the existence of the portal. Now, of course, you get a Jamison Williams and a Henry To'oTo'o who go to Alabama this year. You get, I'm not going to say that we're the only team who has, done well in the transfer portal, but across the breadth of the life of the portal, I don't think any other program who's been as adept at it as Miami, and we're going to need to be that, because there is going to be a big number of churn from this roster leaving. So that's why it's important to sign more high schoolers than fewer in this class. But you've already had a decommitment. You're already having other guys. Oh, I didn't even mention the hashtag just a visit from buddy from Bishop Verreau, Chris Graves. Now, he's the high school teammate of Malik Curtis. I know everybody out there, his family, Curtis's family, still out there in Fort Myers, all saying, hey, just, continue down, go play with Malik, go to the U and everything. He goes to Florida last weekend, takes a picture in, blue and orange, and then tweets it and then hashtags it on social, talking about hashtag just a visit. Chris, they all start as just a visit. And I know that you're a young senior, you're just turned 17. And I know that it seems like you're the first one who's ever done this. But we've seen this. We've been down this road a million times. I've seen other players. I've seen other things. It's like, when you try to think of a lie when you're a kid and your parents are like, bro, I told that lie. I told that lie to your grandpa. Hey, Grandpa Stan, come here. Cam just tried to tell me that, I remember you was trying to go see LaShonda, and then you said the same thing, because the wisdom of age, buddy, and I get that it's new for you, but it's not new for all of us. So hashtag just a visit for Chris Graves. Sure, it might be hashtag just a visit, but that's how it starts. And so you've already had a defection from the team or from the recruiting class. You could have a couple more. It's integral to fill this class with Miami caliber players, no filler, but to complete this class all the way to the available number with top end blue chip recruits. Where you're going to get those from playing like this, I have no idea. And then the 7, but to the number part of the question, regardless of the number of players who transfer out through the waiver that's been approved in the NCAA, you can transfer 7 is my understanding as of right now.
So we'll get to the super chat because it just popped up as soon as I was taking a breath to utter something else and lead us in another direction. But we thank you so much, Nathbone on the Super Chat here. This is the first time we've seen you. So welcome to the Voice of College Football and our Miami show here with Cam every Wednesday night. Mark, ask Cam, you're asking him, actually, did he see Earl Little on the Lamar Thomas show? He said Miami don't even offer Earl Jr. until way after the Alabama game.
Well, no, I think it means way after Alabama offered him a scholarship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he had been offered a scholarship previously, but Miami offered Earl Little Jr. a scholarship as an underclassman, a freshman or a sophomore. So, like, what are we talking about? You know, he's not somebody who is like, you know, waiting till midway through the senior year like we used to do with all these guys and try to swoop them in late because we're, you know, just had the U logo and thought that we could do that through the Al Golden and Randy Shannon years, and that was proven absolutely false. We didn't do anything like that. But I mean, if I hold on, if I'm just going to search on social really quickly, because if it's not going to be on there, but yeah, I really believe that was as an underclassman. So that's not really a disqualifying factor. Plus the fact, like, his daddy wanted him to go to Alabama anyway, and that's fine. Like, just say that. But like, then to sit here and say, oh, like, we didn't offer him at all, like, or, you know, super late. That, I mean, late maybe, but super late. I mean, later than Alabama did, sure. Late to the point where it's a problem, no. We offered. He came on a visit in 2019. We offered him on October 4th of 2019. That's after LSU and Oklahoma. And then February, Alabama didn't offer him until February 2020, according to 247 Sports. So, like, we were the, third team to offer him at 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22. As a sophomore? You know what I mean? Like, you know, so like I think that's cap. I think that's cap because, like, you know, obviously you, like, coaches will leak it out to recruiting writers. Hey, we offered this guy. And then, you know, the recruiter will say, oh, hey, buddy, you know, yeah. So, like, it's triangulated from both sides. But then for them to be like, and okay, no, it wasn't a committable offer. And we all know that there's different levels of offers, committable and non-committable. I'm not having that conversation. But that's cap to say, oh, yeah, we didn't offer him until that's cap. That's cap. That's cap. That's cap. That's cap.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Appreciate the super chat from everyone. And again, appreciate what Cam gives us each and every Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Please subscribe right here. Hit that bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live, which, again, we have been very consistent with our 7 o'clock time slot on Wednesday night, but schedules change, and sometimes we need to move around a little bit. One aspect of the college football season that intrigues me is once we arrive at that particular game matchup, for me to think back, because I have as many discussions, I think, as just about anybody around concerning these games, and think, what was our perception of what this game was going to be for all these months, going all the way back to January? And we talked about it ad nauseum from all these different angles, and this is what this was going to be. And now we're here, and look at what it is. And I don't think a matchup in college football fits that narrative or where I'm leading it, like this Miami-North Carolina matchup that was just, it's Alabama from a national perception. We're getting hyped up that they're, of course, the gold standard. But realistically, logically, Coastal Division, it's North Carolina, it's Miami. This is going to settle it. These are the two best teams. Once we get to October, bam, there we go. And here we are. And it ain't what it was supposed to be from either side.
Nah, not at all. So, the future perception before the season to the reality of this week, very, very different. Very, very different. I figured this was going to be a 7:30 maybe not ABC, but like ESPN Zero Dark Saturday. They're going to bring out the black jerseys. Miami is wearing this. They have announced that we're going Stormtroopers this weekend, so white over white with black cleats. But yeah, you figure this is going to be the spotlight game in the ACC Coastal, and that's just simply not the case. So yeah, you got a couple of teams that are not necessarily in great spots. Mac Brown still has not figured out how any time in his career to ever beat Florida State, even in their state of disrepair. I saw somebody say that you could put a high school team in Florida State jerseys and Mac Brown would figure out a way to lose because that's been his arch nemesis since forever. So, yep, found another way to lose to them last week. Miami, obviously, I've talked a long time about the failings of this program or the struggles throughout this season. So, yeah, this is going to be two teams that are really struggling to push for a bowl game. I mean, Brett McMurphy did his bowl predictions last week, and Miami was not predicted or projected to make a bowl game in his mind. And I get it. I understand it. I see where he's coming from. But if you're going to go along that path and actually become bowl eligible, you're getting close to like needing this game, like both ways. So yeah, this is definitely not our running back De'Aaron King versus Sam Howell from last year, where both of them, well, neither one of them really put up numbers because Carolina ran for 1 million yards, but Carolina's offensive line, coached by former Miami O-line coach Stacy Searles, has continued to get worse. So are they going to turn that around this week? Are they, as Florida State is to North Carolina, i.e. always beating a Mac Brown coach team, is Carolina then proportionally that to Miami, where regardless of whatever else they're doing, they figure out a way to blow Miami's doors off? Or does Miami find a way to rally like it's 2017 and, should have blown that team out, but didn't? Dialed up a double move to Jeff Thomas coming out of halftime. Malik Rozier threw one of the best passes that he threw that season, hit him in stride, and then we ended up, extending it out. Could it be one of those wins? Could it be a Zero Dark Thursday, where they were talking all that noise and Eric Ebron had 17 catches for 933 yards and 12 touchdowns, but we won that game? Or is it another game like when Marquise Williams and everybody threw the U down and they blew us out from, I forget the score of that game, but by millions and millions of points? Who knows? Is it close? And that's one thing I will say. A Manny Diaz coach team is going to have close games. Now, of your 17 wins, 9 of those have been by a score or less. Of your 13 losses, 8 of those have been by a score or less. So it's going to be close one way or the other, more likely than not. But then again, the Carolina loss last year was the outlier that was clearly not within anybody's one score. Unless we're playing rock and jock basketball with a 50-point touchdown, that's potentially possible. They really put it to us. So, it'll be interesting to see who really cowboys up, man, who plays for pride and who figures a way out, because you could easily see this going any of the 4 ways it could go: a Carolina blowout, a Carolina close win, a Miami close win, or a Miami blowout. I think it is equally possible that any of those 4 results could happen. Which one will happen? I'll pretend that I'm going to the registrar in high school, because as a kid, I went to band camp, played clarinet, played piano. I sing, all those things. Singing, my voice is my main instrument. But beginning choir, because you had to audition for advanced choir, so they would not let me in as a freshman. And beginning choir and advanced band were both 5th period. And I stood in front of the registrar's desk and I said, heads is choir, tails is band. I flipped a coin, came up heads. I chose choir. I taught choir. My life was changed in that moment with that coin flip. If I were to decide which way this game were to go, I would flip a coin twice. I would say, heads or tails is Miami or Carolina. Heads or tails is going to be a blowout or a close win for that team. That's what I would do. And that would probably have the same kind of accuracy as sitting here and pouring over any kind of numbers, because from a week-to-week basis, there's been no kind of consistency. Plus the fact, I know Carolina's talking about bouncing back and being different after last week. And for damn sure, Miami's talking about being different to the point where Manny Diaz is admitting there's going to be such a different snap allocation to guys on the field that other guys are already talking about the fact that they're not coming back to Miami anymore after this season. if you're not talking about being different, like if that's not being different, then what is? Where you're already saying older guys are having their roles changed to the point where they're pissed off and they won't be back in Miami because they're going to play less. I have no idea what's going to happen on Saturday. But at 3:30 on the ACC Network, I'm going to be over at my friend Steve's house. Shout out to Kane's Thing on Twitter with all the homies. We're going to be over there watching the game, having a good time, having some adult beverages and whatnot. And we'll be checking it out. And I'm interested to see if Manny Diaz can pull a Mike London and beat a team that probably shouldn't beat and save his job for another week. We'll see.
Well put. Because I would say for as bad as North Carolina has been 1 week ago, because of the stability of the coach and his competency and an NFL future quarterback, and because they had yet to play a Florida State team that, despite their recent mini surge, is still in a pretty bad spot, that I would have had more faith in just North Carolina being together and competent. But man, they played on the first Friday of the season, so they were the first team to step out and say, we're going to show you the signs of 2007, and they lose to Virginia Tech. And I watched that game start to finish, and Sam Howell was running for his life, and that showed us what they were going to be the rest of the year. And maybe the high point is just scoring 1 million points and 1 million yards against Virginia. But other than that, man, losing by 3 scores to Georgia Tech, and then this latest game up 10 at home against Florida State, and they lose. Wow. It's hard to figure. And
equally, we already know the failings of Miami this year. So, I mean, but misery loves company, as Luke Walker said. So, and Mark ran down some of the misery that Carolina's had this year. So it will be interesting to see two teams that really are struggling through this season, who, again, coming into the season, might not have been thought to be able to do so, or that they were going to do so. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they show up and how they compete and how they perform on Saturday.
Cam, what you got for us at that fine site, State of the U?
Man, we're always doing, just good stuff. So we're back in our game week. We have we're going to have 3 things to watch. We have, game preview. We have film preview going up tomorrow. Been trying to catch up with some Storm Center daily links and conversation points, Monday musings, ACC rooting guide, which, has more teeth when Miami's better, because you're kind of looking to see how they can get to the ACC championship game and or a bowl game. But, we have that, some other commentary and analysis popping up, there as well. So, we're always just trying to do what we do and do it really well. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. The website is stateoftheu.com. My personal Twitter account is at Underwood Sports. I'm not watching Squid Game anymore because I already watched it twice. But there's probably some other stuff that I'll be watching. So that and plenty more. The good, the bad, the ugly every single week. I know y'all love to dive into that one with me. 3 stars after the game recap, all that good stuff. So, yeah, we're just, again, we're here all the time. And I know that people say that Miami fans are fair weather and, we only want a winner. Look, Mark and I have been doing this show, or a version of the show, for, 11, 12, 14? So, I don't know, a bunch of years at this point. Come hell or high water, once a week, whether it's good or whether it's bad, whether we blew out Notre Dame or whether we got our doors blown off by, Clemson, we'll be here. And so we're also going to be there at State of the U. So you can always find us 24/7, 365. Come on over and fan with us, and let's make some memories, people.
Love it. All right, Cam. So much appreciated, man. You make it happen.
Guys, have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Everybody else, we'll be back here next Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And let's see. I'll be doing call-in shows on the main channel on Thursday and Friday. So we will see you then.